Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Adventures. Last time we spoke with the police inspector for the first time, and we're meeting our client here for case 4. Anyway, so he seems to be a fellow Japanese man. Let's go ahead and converse with him and try and figure out what he's all about and what the case is, because we don't really know a whole lot of details just yet. Sasuke Natsume-san, what an unusual name. Call me Sasuke, please. I'm a poet, you see, a writer of haiku. It's something of a nom de plume. A nom de plume? You mean an alias? That's right, Naruhodo-san. No, no, no! Don't be so... Wow, this guy is quite verbose, isn't he? Don't be so prosaic. It's much more refined than that. And haiku? That really reminds me of home. Did I... Sorry, I had to cough a bit there. Did I hear you say that you were a visiting student sent over here by the government? Yes, that's right. A year ago, I was told to go and study English. First, I had to suffer that misery, and now this! It's beyond the pale! Suffer that misery? Did you not want to study here? No, I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course. Oh. But, just because the government tells you to do something, doesn't mean you can do it? No. What do you mean? If they told me to study English literature, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievable, unjustly, unreasonable. I like how the camera has to like zoom in past the bars every time he does that. I see. Only the other day, I was told to send a report about my first year here. I tendered a blank piece of paper. Wise words on white washi. You must be a man of great standing. Oh yes, so I'm often told. And often like to be told, it seems. Alright, let's talk about the crime, please. No more theatrics here. Could you perhaps tell us exactly why you've been arrested, Sasuke-san? I didn't do it! I didn't commit that atrocious murder! Murder? Oh, no, it's alright. The woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife right before my eyes. Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker? Yeah, let's... Who was it? Let's put a nail in this case right ahead. Or right now. I didn't see anyone. I'm sorry, what? 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 If I'd seen the person who did it, do you think I'd be locked up in here? How do you see the stabbing but not see the person? How does that make sense? Oh dear, it seems that this case is becoming rather complicated. Why me? Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? It's the curse. The curse of London. It's incredibly, inexcusably, irritatingly inconvenient. So, Sasuke-san was there at the scene, but he didn't see the attacker. Interesting. It's vital that we find out more about the case. Yeah, please, we need more information. Lay it on us. It was an accursed evening, and just after the snow had started to clear and heavy with fog. I'd been to the bookshop to buy some books. I was on my way back to my accursed lodgings. Sure, the bookshop wasn't accursed too. As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat, she was. And just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet. Aww. What? She was stabbed by a ghost? How terrible! What is this animation? What is he doing here? That's terrifying. I called out to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like a ghostly, ghoulish, grim graveyard. Slight exaggeration there, perhaps? Or you're just now thinking of that? I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran, as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings. Why does everything have to be accursed? That's not good. They'll say it was shameful, I know, to run away like that. Tell me, man, I keep getting the names mixed up and how to pronounce them. Soseki-san, I'm pretty sure that's how you say that. Tell me, Soseki-san, was the victim an acquaintance of yours? Don't be ridiculous! Do you think I know any of these fair-haired English, and a young woman at that? I'm diffident, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people. Dude, I know exactly how you feel. I see. A young woman unknown as Soseki-san. And at the time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anyone pass you? Yeah, how did you get arrested for this? Who saw you? Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman. Apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul. No one? Oh, great. So how did they know it was you? So the victim was unknown to you, and there was nobody else on the street at the time. That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it? What conundrum? How did you get arrested? What do you mean, Susato-san? What's the conundrum? Well, if what Soseki-san has just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. He says that he didn't know the victim, and that there was no one else at the scene. Then he apparently fled without having been seen. I did! But if that's the case, surely this man has to be the culprit. Oh! You! What did you just say? No, nothing. I'm so confused right now. Okay, this is like the fifth time this game has done this, right? Where, like, Ryunosuke, he's like thinking something in his head. You know, that's what the blue text is, and like a character clearly responds to something that they're saying, like as if he said this out loud. I feel like that has to be a game error, right? That really bugs me. Oh, okay. Oops, perhaps I thought that a little loudly. Is that what's been happening this whole time, Ryunosuke? Are your thoughts just that loud that other people can just hear them? If so, that's an amazing superpower to have. Actually, that's not what was troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Soseki-san actually come to be arrested? Yeah, thank you! Sorry. He didn't touch the victim, and there's nobody at the scene to see him. So how did the police ever discover that he was there in the first place? Oh yes, she's right. It was him. That accursed great detective. He led the police to me. Oh, is he back? Is Herlock back? Of all the bad luck. Accursed great detective. Could it be? Him? I shall never forget that man's name as long as I live. With his haughty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed, busybody, be gone! May you be cursed until the end of your days, Herlock Sholmes. I knew it. He's back, baby. Mr. Sholmes. Why did that dialogue option flip over? Whatever. It seems a bit strange. Well, I didn't expect to hear that name from this man's lips, that's for sure. It was the morning after that nightmare had unfolded on the pavement before me. I was gnawing on a sliver of hard cheese when some men suddenly burst in through the door. They started shouting at me. This is the police. Put the weapon down. Yes, it was a thin sliver. And yes, it was hard. But I wasn't eating a weapon. Disgusting. Dietary. Discrimination. Devils. You know, them saying him to like drop the cheese because they thought it was a weapon reminds me of that news story I heard like a while ago, where a boy got in trouble at school because he was holding his Pop-Tart apparently in a way that could contrived to be like a gun, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, if you take like a bite out of your Pop-Tart and then hold it, your finger in the bite mark, you could reasonably make it look like that, but that is ridiculous. You clearly had a trying morning yesterday. And there he was in the middle of all the policemen, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That Herlock Sholmes! It's actually just Herlock Sholmes. He's English. Oh, is he saying airlock? Or, hang on. What was he saying before? Yeah, is he saying airlock? Something like that. I've since found out that he's a famous name in the detection here. Oh, a famous name in detection here in London. Yes, the great detective is really well known. And his overly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts, apparently. He thinks I'm the knife-wielding madman. Me, this weak, stooped kitten of a man. Don't sell yourself short, my friend. I wonder what great deduction process led him to his conclusion this time. Do you mean to say that Mr. Sholmes' deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable. Yeah, I mean, considering what we've seen before, it definitely would be. Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged their way in. Of course you were. That's only natural. What did you say? What did you say to them? I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing question after question at me in an impossible English. Fiendish, foreign, film, flammery. Well, we are in England. You can't really blame them for questioning you in English. Good point, but my mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say. So I just kept repeating things like, yes, I do, and I'm fine. Oh no, dude. Why did you say that? The next thing I knew, I was in manacles, and before I knew it, I was thrown in here. Oh dear, I'm afraid that's hardly surprising. I'm fine? Well, you're not Apollo Justice, my man. You can't just say that. That's copyright. He's not fine now. Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. Oh, you could just call me Naruhodo. And when we're speaking English, a simple Mr. is more than enough. Oh, yes, alright, yes, they've really got to me. This country is poisoning my mind. Are we speaking English right now, then? Is that the case? I would have thought we were speaking Japanese if we were speaking with only Japanese people right now. But please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. Hang on, did I miss something? Oh yeah, they got me, really got me. This country's really poisoning my mind. Alright, we gotta defend her. You can tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you? That she was stabbed by a ghost. Got it. Why? Why is it so hard to say yes to me? Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself, on a study tour. A student? I defended a case in the Old Bailey. Only the one, though. But at this moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to be believing. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means. Oh, Naruhodo-san. I'm not even the foreign student who was supposed to be here. Oh, by the way, so we are speaking in Japanese, if she just said san instead of Mr. I'm a sort of locum lawyer, I suppose. But that armband, that's the mark of a defense lawyer from our great empire. It's a keepsake from the man who should have been here. He was my best friend. A keepsake? I know exactly what they're saying about me. Oh, who do you mean? The lawyers, all the British defense lawyers. They won't defend me. Goodness, why do you say that? Because they're a bunch of racists, that's why. For the same reason as you noted before, when it happened. There was only the victim and myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit. It must be very hard for you, Soseki-san. And anyway, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them, somebody not to be trusted. I heard them openly laughing about me before, in my earshot, without any compunction at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said, and of course the foreigner did it. They even had the gall to say, the man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyway. That's awful. Well, how are they going to establish motive then? That's like a big issue we're having here. They're wrong. I've studied more English than half the policemen out there on the streets. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's country and its great history. But No one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. So, at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue. You could do it, couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see what you've been through. So, Soseki-san, it's just that... Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can, for the time being. What do you mean? We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure. Oh, yes, thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. We should be going then, Naruhodo-san. We have a case to prepare for. Is there any... Oh, yeah, I can't examine it here. Oh, that really sucks. In other games, when you're in the detention center, you can examine stuff, but you're not gonna let me do that here. I wonder, do I have anything I could present to him? Let me see what he says about this. Yes, that's the symbol of one of our great empire's first-rate lawyers. Which means, of course, you'll stand by my side. You'll defend me. Oh, no, sorry. That wasn't why I was showing it to you. I'm just showing off how fashionable it is. Then why else would you show me that? Oops. In hindsight, that probably wasn't the best idea. That's kind of funny. Alright, so I suppose now we gotta move back to the scene of the crime. And this time, somebody should actually be there to talk to you, I presume. Oh, he's here. Nice. He's got some more chips. What's the Japanese delegation doing here? Oh, Inspector Gregson. This isn't on the tourist trail, as I'm fairly sure you're well aware. Yes, of course. We're here to investigate. So you've been in the holding cells then? What do you make of the criminal? He's not a criminal, as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect. We'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, of course we do. Come on now. Well, that's beside the point. Well, do what you will. It doesn't bother me. The bloke's at court tomorrow, whatever happens. And the verdict's a foregone conclusion. Ugh, the stone-cold air of rejection. Take heart. London at this time of year is full of stone-cold air. That makes it worse somehow. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Alright, well, I guess let's have a chit-chat, shall we? Scotland Yard, tell me about it. Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I read about in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I've been fascinated by the place. The Yard is the most sophisticated policing organization you'll find anywhere in the world, ma'am. Oh, and you know, I've always dreamt of wearing a real Bobby's helmet. It does make them look the part, seeing that policeman there with his helmet on. You certainly get the sense that this is a man who will take no nonsense in his duty protecting the city. It's kind of weird though how it covers their eyes. Oh yes, doesn't he look wonderful? Being a London Bobby is hard going, I can tell you. Oh really? First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes round and rouses all the laborers on his beat so they could get off to work. What? He wakes people up? Yep, raps on the windows with a long pole. Did it myself, going back a bit. I had no idea. The Bobby works for the people of the town. It's just another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance. I can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way. That is a long way, my man. I wonder, do you have to walk that, though? Let me see. 20 miles, that's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama. On foot? That's definitely taking things a step too far. Okay, so he definitely does do it on foot. And when it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting all the gas street lamps. Oh my. I suppose in between all those duties, Bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well. And chase after criminals trying to evade the law. I'm not sure you could call it in between exactly. More alongside, but yes. They're expected to handle those jobs as well. We do have men keeling over from time to time, I admit. Well, that doesn't sound very good, does it? You can't have people dying, poking people's windows. I'd always dreamt of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, thank you for the honor. Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do. Alright, let's talk about the case. It happened at around 5 in the evening, 2 days ago, just there on that open bit of pavement. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. Is it right that the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she's being treated in hospital. I never said she was a lady. Truth is, unless she comes around pretty smartish, we won't be able to find out much about her at all. I suppose that means they haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course. Why did he say that? Why did he say that? I didn't say it was a lady. What was the point of that? Here's a map of the local area I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's yard policy to give lawyers defending suspects the odd bit of information to go on. Wow, that is so different from the other games, where you're basically forbidden from entering the crime scene unless you have, you know, a good friend in the police force. That is amazing. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still. Thank you, Inspector. We gratefully accept. We got a local map, a street map of the local area showing where the victim was found. Anyway, as far as we know, there's no one else on the scene other than the victim and your fellow countryman. So who did it, do you think? Not much of a head scratcher, is it? Well, I know Mr. Natsume is also claiming to not have seen anyone else around, but just because he didn't see anyone, it doesn't rule out the possibility that a ghost attacked her now, does it? It doesn't mean we can be sure that nobody else was present. I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we most certainly can be sure. How? You're gonna say Herlock, isn't it? Because, ma'am, the precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. What? We have 2 very reliable witnesses, no less. Oh, so there were witnesses. Ah! It was a typical foggy London day, and your client obviously didn't see them. There were witnesses now? Alright, let's talk about the witnesses. Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife, and the man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. He's a copper from Scotland Yard. Man. Something tells me that one of them probably did it, and they're covering for the other one. Or not like covering, but they're trying to like hide the fact that one of them did it. That's my current theory. That tends to be how these games go. He's a copper from Scotland Yard, and they're trying to frame him. Ah, a policeman. That might change things. And this policeman just happened to be there at the exact moment the woman was attacked. Nothing peculiar about that, ma'am. Part and parcel of being a bobby, catching them banging the act and all that. Do you think it might be possible for us to ask that policeman a few questions? Be my guest. You could ask him what you like. In court tomorrow. Oh. I've no doubt he'll be summoned as a witness. So I'll give you something to look forward to. That's that then. He's got no intention of letting us meet the man beforehand, it seems. Well, that's not fair. A policeman witnessed the incident. As your judicial assistant, I must warn you that this could make our job very difficult indeed. Well, no duh. Yes, as a non-judicial assistant, I could have warned me of that too. Oh yes, one more thing, Inspector. What? The person who led you to the suspect. I hear that was Mr. Herlock Sholmes. What are you bringing him up for? Was it something I said? The color is drained from his cheeks. Well, they're like rivals, aren't they? Yeah. Alright, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about the trial. That twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. Are you going to defend him or not? Well, yeah, you see. Makes no difference to me, but I will just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case with a barge pole. Because the prosecution is being handled by the Reaper of the Bailey, you mean? There's no way to save the man now. It's a waste of time trying. It's all a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper, he hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now. And now suddenly we're getting both of his cases. Yes, we did hear something to that effect. And the only people he usually bothers with are the real scum. The master criminals. The violent ones. Master criminals? The violent ones? That's right. He handpicks his victims. Only deals with those guaranteed to go on the gallows for the sins. Well, that sounds like a really bad prosecutor then, doesn't it? He doesn't take any cases that there's a chance of him losing. Wow, that sounds like an awful prosecutor. But Mr. Natsume wouldn't hang for what he's accused for, surely. That's just my point, sunshine. Yes, the young woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. Couldn't even say the intent was there. So this isn't the sort of case I'd be expecting the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into, for want of a better phrase. Well, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it? No, there's got to be more to it. Some reason he's taken an interest. Really? What sort of reason, Inspector? You think I can tell what's going on inside that head of the Lord of Darkness? You'll have to ask him yourself at tomorrow's trial. Well, there's gonna be a lot of things to talk about at tomorrow's trial, isn't there? Are we really gonna have to face the Reaper again? The Lord of Darkness, as he put it? Alright, let's talk about Mr. Sholmes. Oh, there goes the music. Who did you hear that name from? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings. I'm sure as the result of one of Mr. Sholmes' inspirational great deductions. Fiddle faddle! Ah! The man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mug everywhere. Oh? I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime, wanders around spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case. Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he? Yeah, I feel exactly the same. He is a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he? Gibble gabble. Ugh. Ever seen this before? Oh, yes, that's Rance Magazine. The wonderful publication in which the adventures of Sherlock Holmes appears. Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, sees fit to include several of the Yard's detectives in its stories. And the so-called Great Detective makes a mockery of all of us. If you ask anyone at the Yard, it's a misadventure to be included in any Sherlock Holmes tale at all. Well, I suppose there is an element of that. We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be frumped by the public thanks to that obnoxious detective. So he doesn't officially work for the police then. Okay. Well, I guess we kind of already knew that. The man's as dangerous to us as Scotland Yard as he is to all our criminals. That can't really be true, can it, Inspector? Clearly, the great detective and the police have a complex relationship. Well, I don't think we're going to get any more useful information out of the detective. Mr. Naruhodo, can I make a suggestion? Oh yes, what is it? I don't think we've ever seen this face of hers before. Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this. By him, do you mean Mr. Sholmes? Yes, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, exactly! Look at those shining eyes. You can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Sholmes for all this, didn't he? Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in the case. Are you just going to ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet with Mr. Sholmes again. Trouble is, we have no idea of the man's address even. So how? It's Baker Street! How did you know that? Well, everyone knows that. It's in the stories, of course. 221B Baker Street, the most famous address in the world. Oh, I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. We better try to find our way there before Susato-san got any more excited and unpredictable. I don't remember the house number, but I just remember it was Baker Street, so I don't know if that house number is correct or not. Hurrah! I'll summon a carriage. So we're to have a reunion already with the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Alright guys, so yeah, we're coming up on 30 minutes here, so I'm gonna call the episode here. Next time we'll definitely go and meet with Mr. Herlock Sholmes. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye!